Hi, welcome back. In this video, I'll be making a visual animation for when the user clicks or taps on the screen. So the first thing we want to do is create a new quad. I'm going to name it ring, and we're going to create a new material for it. I'm going to call it animated ring. Change its shader to mobile particles alpha blended. And I'm going to select a pre-made sprite sheet for it. This is what it looks like. And then we're going to attach that material to the renderer component. Now let's change a few of its transform options. We need to rotate it 90 degrees and increase its size. That should be good for our ring object here. So now we're going to need a script to animate this, and we're going to be using one that's available on the Unity wiki called Animated Texture UV. So let's create a new JavaScript and copy and paste the contents. We're going to be making some modifications because this script animates the texture continuously and we need it to just play once. So let's do that now. I'm going to add some new variables. Now we'll create a start function to set a few of these variables. And set a few of the properties for that material. And we're also going to create a custom function called init, which we'll call from our main game core script to activate this each time. And for the modifications, here within the update function, time minus time start gives us the seconds that have passed since the init function was called. And this will give us a index for that, 30 because we want it to run at 30 frames per second. And let's add a little conditional statement here. Say if the index is less than or equal to the size of the tile sheet, then animate. Otherwise, disable it. We also need to replace a couple of these original variables with our new variable. And we should be done. Let's save that. Make sure we don't have any errors. Everything looks good, so let's attach that script to the ring game object and make sure we set its tile to 9 because that's the size, that's the number of columns in the sprite sheet. We need to update our game core script. So first thing, we'll need a couple new variables, a reference to the ring game object and its script, which is called animated texture UV, And now we need to set those variables. Ring dot get component. And to set its position should be very easy because we've already got it from this target variable. So all we have to do is add ring position, push the Y up by 1 so we don't get any clipping or rendering issues if it's too close to the ground. And then we're going to access that script, make sure it's enabled, and execute that init function, and we should be done. Now let's try that. There we go. Now we have a nice animation that indicates where the user is clicking or tapping the screen. Our script is working, but we could still make some improvements to it. So let's open up the animated texture UV script again. Okay, let's initiate a few of these variables because that's good practice. Let's replace our 30 here with that original frames per second variable. And right here, where we're deactivating the script, we're also going to deactivate the renderer. And this part of the code shouldn't actually be needed because there's already a reference to it in the start function. This component that's referenced is the renderer. Again, we already have a reference to that, so we can use that here. And some of these values aren't necessary for the user to see inside the inspector, so we can actually hide these by using the statement hide in inspector. We're going to do that for these timer variables as well as the reference to the renderer component. That way the only variables which show up in the inspector are the ones that need to be modified. We're going to change that to 30 actually. So let's save this. Let's go back to Unity, let it compile. Let's take a look at that now within the inspector here. Those are the values we have. Those are the only ones we need. So let's play this again just to make sure everything worked. Excellent. So I forgot to mention, it's important to make sure the mesh collider is removed or that the layer is set to ignore raycast. Otherwise the raycast will collide with that and create some problems. In the next video we're going to add a character and do some scripting for the character movement.